Welcome to the Norfolk Unordinary Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Johnson. I've lived here in Norfolk County for over 40 years, and together today, we're going to hear from the unordinary people who make our small towns and countryside a great place to call home. This episode of Norfolk Unordinary is brought to you by Coco Cabana Chocolate Fudge Gourmet Cafe. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram as they're always posting pictures of new and creative sweet treats. When you drop into Coco Cabana, say hello to its owner, Dave Tank, who has been serving the Port Dover community since 1995. Say hello to me too. I try to start my day at Coco's with friendly conversation and a good cup of tea. Open 7 days a week, year-round. Start your morning or fuel your afternoon with a hot coffee, tea, espresso, latte, and once you see it, you'll want to grab a little sweet piece of fudge from Coco Cabana, 16 Walker Street, Port Dover, Ontario. Shane Bergman of Teeterville, Ontario. Shane, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me.
Shane, you're here because I think you are rather unordinary, so let's hear your story. Shane, first off, what's the best football movie of all time?
Let's remember the Titans for sure.
False. Or sorry, incorrect. The correct answer is Waterboy. And a close second place is Little Giants.
Oh, I've never seen Little Giants.
Remember the Titans, good. Friday Night Lights.
That's a really good one. It's one of my favorites too.
That's close too.
Yeah.
That's close too.
Any Given Sunday's a good one.
That's good.
Replacements. That's a
Replacement, is that Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, I don't think I've seen that one. So Shane, welcome to Norfolk Unordinary.
Thank you.
Shane, you are a two-time Grey Cup champion, 2014 and 2018, a CFL, Canadian Football League All-Star in 2019. But Shane, that doesn't impress me. Okay? Shane, you are a two-time dad.
That's right. Yeah.
And I ran into you a couple Saturdays back, and what I saw impressed me. All right, here's what I saw from my perspective. This impressive shadow began to, take over the doorway, and I thought, who is this coming in? And I looked over, and what did I see was, this big guy, and he had a baby carrier in one hand, and another boy kind of excited to get into the rec center and then tearing off to the change room. And the reason why this is impressive to me and also funny is because a few years ago, I posted a Facebook picture of me carrying a baby carrier and my crying daughter in my other hand. And the caption I posted was, "Don't ask me when the last time I played a round of golf was." And so when you walked in, I was reminiscing on my those early days with the baby and the 2-year-old, and I was impressed because I was like, "There's a dad. There's a good dad. There's a good guy right there, bringing his son to swimming lessons." And how are you enjoying the swimming lessons?
It's awesome. It's he's now doing it on his own, so now we don't have to go in the pool, and the teacher is in there teaching him now, and he's doing a great job. It's fun. It's fun to see all the learning and how excited he is to swim. So,
how do you like being a dad?
It's the best.
Yeah?
It's the best. I mean, it's challenging, but it's the best.
2 boys?
Yeah, 2 boys, 3 years old, 9 months old is my youngest one, Asher and Kieran, and they're, I love it. It's, every day is a new day, every day is different, but it's amazing.
So how was your golf game?
My golf game's always been bad. It's always been bad. I never golfed too much, but...
how many times have you played in your life?
2 years ago, I actually played probably the most I did, and probably went out 15, 20 times. And last year,
decent.
Last year I went about 6 or 7 times. It wasn't the best year, but kids are getting older, it's getting busier.
Yeah. Do you understand what the golf itch is? Have you heard of the golf itch?
I've heard of it. I don't really get it yet.
You probably have a buddy that you're like, man, what's with this guy? Yeah. He just can't not golf.
Yeah, I do. I have a couple of those guys.
Yeah, he's got the itch, eh?
Buddies. Yeah, they do. They're good though.
Yeah.
I understand getting an itch of something when you're good at something.
Hey, absolutely. Yeah. So it was great to run into you a couple weeks ago, and I just, after I saw you, I was humming and hawing. I was like, maybe I'll go ask Shane if he'd be interested in coming on to Norfolk Unordinary, because Shane, you fit the bill. Okay. You are an unordinary guy in many ways. As a short dude, I feel very ordinary, and man, Everything about you is unordinary. And so as we chat today, we'll find out a little bit about why that is. Shane, just start with maybe when did you and I first meet?
Well, yeah, our paths did cross a few times in my high school days. But I think our first time was maybe my first grade 9 year at, it was the players versus the alumni high school game. We played all the old alumni that came down. I'm pretty sure we schooled you, right? I don't remember the score, but I think that was the first time we ever met.
Curious, what were your physical dimensions in grade 9? Height, weight?
I was the height I am now because I stopped growing at 13, so 6'6" and about 295, 300
You're
pounds.
so selfish and greedy, man. Why can't you share that?
I wish I could. I'll give you some weight.
Man. So I was going to say, I believe I first met you. From your perspective, you would have been standing there and you've been like, what just hit my thigh?
Yeah.
And that would have been me driving to the basket.
Exactly.
And I'm pretty sure I would have bounced off you. And yeah, so a question, Shane, you're a big guy and you played center when you would play basketball. I'm assuming you played center. Nowadays, you might be a starting point guard in the NBA because it's positionless basketball. But you were a center, and I would imagine that every time you have ever shot a basketball in game, you were fouled. Is that correct?
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's a couple times I tried a 3-point shot that were very unsuccessful, but yeah.
But no one was around you? They were like, all right, I'll let him shoot.
We'll let him shoot. But yeah, when I'm in that key, I was fouled every time.
I know.
And I did not get a call every time.
Okay, hear that? Gene Montgomery, Bob Dufresne, all the other refs out there in Norfolk County. Shane Bergman hacked every time. There's no question.
They're listening, they'll all laugh.
Yeah, of course they will. Of course they will. How are you with referees, by the way? Are you a gentle giant? Are you...
I have to apologize to some refs when I was a kid. I definitely had a little bit of a temper, and if I felt like the game wasn't being called my way, I definitely... could be a little bit rude, I guess I should say. But so if they are listening, I apologize for that. But today, the adult Shane is not like that. Yeah.
Nice. Did you play basketball growing up? Like, did you play Norfolk basketball or anything, or just start playing in grade 9?
Like Teeterville Public School, I started playing basketball, and then I went to Wyndham. We played basketball in Wyndham. So just high school, or just school and high school. Never played like rep or anything like that.
So Shane, I don't know your family. I've never met your family, extended family. That you have. Are you an anomaly, or the Bergmans a big clan?
No, we're big.
You're big?
Yeah, my dad's 6'10". Probably, I think he shrunk a little bit. He's 6'9" now, so he's probably 3 inches taller than me. My brother's 6'5". I'm 6'7". Like every male in our family's tall. My mom was 6 foot. I think she shrunk a little bit now too, but we're all 6 foot ish.
Where'd you guys come from?
My mom's side is Dutch, and then my dad's side is Belgium.
Belgian?
Yeah, Belgian.
Wow. So are you following the World Cup? How does that work?
I'm not huge into soccer.
I was going to estimate that, but...
I mean, when it's on, sometimes some people watch it at work, and I'll sit down and watch it. It's entertaining. All sports are entertaining when you actually sit and watch.
Hey, if you're a competitor and an athlete,
exactly.
you can find like darts.
Yeah. I love watching darts. It's the crowds that get me. They're having such a great time.
190. Isn't that cool?
Exactly. That's the best one.
Yeah, I'm like I'm probably getting paid more than I am to do that job, right?
Yeah, he's drinking beers while he's doing it too, having a great time.
So, Shane, introduce us a little bit to your childhood before we get into like some of the accomplishments and some of just the really great stuff you've been able to do in your life through football. Where did it all begin? So geography, where'd you grow up in, family life?
Well, I was born and raised. I lived in Teeterville. I lived on a farm. My family grew tobacco and ginseng basically my whole life. My whole life I farmed and helped my dad on doing that and stuff. And then really when I didn't start playing any sports, so I started going to school. But, growing up in Teeterville, I don't know if everyone knows where Teeterville is. Teeterville is kind of between Delhi, Waterford, Scotland. It's near Vanessa, Wyndham. It's just a really small farming community with like, I don't know, the sign doesn't even have.
So if you're driving around Norfolk County and you're like, I'm in the middle of nowhere, you could be in Teeterville.
Yeah, you could be in Teeterville. It's really nothing. We have one stop sign. We don't even have a stoplight. We have one stop sign. If you're there now, my picture's there now.
Your picture?
Going into Teeterville.
Welcome to Teeterville.
Yeah,
and then
home of Shane Bergman. Yeah.
Okay, honest, Shane, be honest here, okay? Pretend no one's listening. Okay. Is it a good picture?
Yeah, it's of me playing ball.
Nice.
It's of me, like...
In uniform?
Yeah, in uniform, like
6-0?
during a game. Yeah, during a game.
Okay.
Like it's an action shot.
Okay, so it's not like just a zoomed in shot of your face?
No,
okay,
it's
okay.
an action shot.
Okay, I was gonna say, that'd be scary.
No, so it's a good picture.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Have you Googled how much it would cost to make like a bronze statue of Shane?
No, they probably won't either.
Be a couple $100,000 or something, I'd imagine.
Yeah, if you want life size, it would be.
Yeah. Nice. So dad was a farmer. I imagine he didn't have a lot of spare time.
Nope.
Was he a second generation, third generation farmer? And then how did sports mix in with farming? Because I imagine those two things are not always compatible.
Yeah. So I believe he's a third generation farmer. I'm not sure about, anything past that. But he sacrificed, like he did the work, and he sacrificed not seeing me play a lot of sports. And he always let me do the sports. Like,
really?
Yeah, always. Like, even if work came down to it, like if it was work or sports, he always let me play sports.
Give me an example. Like, are you talking in your young years?
Yeah,
like,
my young years.
So what did you play? What did you play then? What were you into?
Well, like I was playing like high school basketball or whatever it was, and or not high school basketball, sorry, like public school basketball, and just stuff like that. And if if practice, I needed to, do a game or practice, he would let me, instead of go home where I know I could be helping him out on the farm and doing anything. He'd always let me play sports, always.
Awesome.
And he never, like I said, he sacrificed. He never came out and watched, or he could, because he couldn't. He would if he could. He just never couldn't, because he was always busy, on the farm trying to make a living for his family. And that's one guy I really appreciate, because like if it wasn't for him, I would not have been able to do what I did, for sure, because he gave me the time and the resources to be able to do it. So
wow.
Yeah.
What did the Bergman kids eat growing up?
Everything. We ate everything.
You grew tobacco and ginseng, so you weren't eating that.
Yeah, so we didn't really eat our crops, but during harvest, we had a lot of quick meals, because my mom and dad would be working, we'd be all busy, and so it'd be a lot of quick meals. But in the wintertime, I remember sitting down as a kid. We'd sit around on Sundays. We always had we call it big breakfast on Sunday mornings. We'd sit around and we would just make the biggest breakfast you can imagine: eggs, pancakes, French toast, hash browns, everything, all the meats you can imagine. And those were special days back, looking back on it right now. And we never had time for that during harvest, like I said, but in the wintertime, that's what I looked forward to when I was a kid, those Sunday breakfasts with my parents and my brother.
Playing a little bit of all kinds of different sports and activities growing up. Did you work the farm a lot yourself?
Yeah, I worked when I wasn't like obviously in school or playing sports. I was like working on the farm. My brother and people who worked on the farm will probably smile when I say this, but I always got the easier jobs. I was the older kid. I was the oldest son, so I got the little bit more cushier jobs. And I think Dad also gave me some cushy jobs, because he didn't want me sore or anything for any football games and stuff once I started playing football. So I was always sitting in the tractor. I was always in, a climate controlled cab, and I was always never dusty and all that kind of stuff. So I was treated really well on the farm, for sure. But I worked a lot of hours on the farm, for sure.
When you think about work, right? Just putting in work, what work means, right? And, you've got energy and you're using it to accomplish something, right? The idea of work and how did growing up on a farm, what role did that play in you developing the kind of work ethic that you had to succeed?
Well, it definitely helped you overcome your adversities, because in farming, you're going to come across adversity all the time. You're going to come, stuff breaks. You're going to have to fix it right then. There's not any time to think about it. You just have to act. So it teaches you that stuff. It teaches you how to stay calm, because when stuff, on the farm, when it's stuff, like it always comes down when it breaks, when it's not supposed to break. If you start kind of what I say, got to
get the job done.
Yeah, you got to get the job done. If you're too busy freaking out, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get the job done in time. So it teaches you to stay calm, does all that stuff. But farming also taught me kind of what I didn't want to do too, right? I know I said I did a lot of cushy jobs, but I also had jobs that weren't as cushy. It taught me that manual labor was hard work, and taught me stuff that I didn't want to be doing that for the rest of my life. Wouldn't want to be replanting tobacco or stuff like that. And doing that kind of stuff on the farm, it got me, I've always been big, but it got me strong too, farm strong, that helped me a lot in my career, I believe. Always a strong kid, for sure.
Did you pursue a football career in your younger days? Did you specifically pick football, or did you sort of stumble into it?
So I kind of like stumbled on it, how it kind of happened. I knew about football, and I was big, and everyone said I'd be good at football because
Of course.
I was big. But I never really played it. The first time I played it, so it's funny how I was playing.
Me and the first time you killed a guy?
Yeah.
That's when you were playing football?
Yeah. How someone saw me and I was originally going to play football. I was playing basketball at Wyndham Center, and we had our end of the year tournament in Waterford. And I'm 6'5", grade 8 kid. Big kid, right? Bigger than all high school kids at the time. And so we're in Waterford, and then all these high school football players are watching me play basketball. They're coming up to me, they're like, "Who are you?" and all that stuff, and talk to me. And they're like, "We need you on our team." So then they go out and they get the head football coach at the time, and Rob Malcolm.
Get down to the gym. There's this guy there.
Yeah, you have to watch him. And I was fairly athletic too, so I could move. I could, I was bigger than everybody, and he approached me after. He's like, "You need to come to Waterford and play football for us." And so I was in grade 8, and then that year when they had the junior football team, because the Norfolk County programs, the junior team runs in the spring.
Yep.
So when they had their junior football team, he came and picked me up every day from Wyndham Center in his own car, and would bring me to football practice. And then I competed and played for Waterford in grade 8 when I was at Wyndham. And so that kind of was my introduction to football. And then when I kind of was like, this is what I can do, and I can like be better than a good football player, be a great football player. It was a combine, and a combine is a show of athleticism for football players. You do a bunch of drills, running, jumping, lifting some weights and that stuff. And I did a 40-yard dash, and I was 300 pounds at the time, and I ran a sub 540. It was like 4.98 or something like that. And the person there timing it was like, "Man, you're 300 plus pounds and you just ran a sub 540. He's like, "You need to really think about this as a job."
What age was that?
I was probably 16-ish, 16 at the time. And yeah, that's when they were like, well, they put it in my head, like, you could do this. Like,
Who's they?
For a living. So the people who did that, actually, it was some or recruiting thing that they were doing in Hamilton, but they brought up, his name was Eric Lichter, and he was the head strength conditioning coach at the time for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I'm not sure what group brought them up to Hamilton. It was in Hamilton, but they ran the combine. And he's the one who told me about it. Like, he's like, "You're like, the speed you just ran, like, you understand, like, I'm this strength conditioning coach for this team." Like, one of the, in my opinion, the great Big Ten football team, one of the best. And that's when I was like, I really need to pay attention to this. I remember Ted Ginn Sr. was there. His son played in the NFL. Ted Ginn Jr. played for Ohio State Buckeyes. Yep. He was there. And that was like my first real like introduction, like, hey, you actually have what it takes to be a baller.
So that was after a couple of years of playing at Waterford District High School?
Yeah, it was a couple of years after playing at Waterford. I remember it was my first combine. And I got Rob Malcolm to come out to it because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, just come watch. And my parents were there. Rob Malcolm was there. And then everyone's like, "Yeah, you're the guy. Like, we want, like, you should go do this." So that's when I put it in my head, put it in my family's heads, like, hey, I can pursue this and do something great with it.
Wow. Yeah. I need to talk about a bad choice that you made, but before I do that, let me set it up. So I went to Wilfrid Laurier University, and in my grad year in 2005, shout out to all my Laurier people out there. Laurier won the Vanier Cup, and it was in Hamilton. I think it was, is it Tim Hortons Field now?
Yeah.
It hadn't changed yet.
So Ivor Wynn then.
I think it was still Ivor Wynn, yes.
Yeah.
And so I was in university, I was in kinesiology and phys ed, so half the football team was in my program.
Right.
These are guys that I went first year, second year, third year, and fourth year.
Right.
They made the Vanier Cup.
Okay.
And in Hamilton. So I've been to some pretty awesome sporting events in my life. By far, I was there in November in 2005 and stormed the field when they won. It was like they beat Saskatchewan, who was number 1 ranked in CIS that whole year.
Cool.
And beat them. Snow-filled game.
Awesome.
Fill in the field after the game, and like I remember my buddy Adrian Hauer, not quite your size. He was a D lineman, linebacker, and he had me on his shoulders going around. And man, just an amazing moment.
That's awesome.
And so why'd you go to Western, man? Like, come on, what's the matter with you?
You want to know the honest truth why I went to Western? Because they had the best recruiting trip. I had the most fun, the best party.
So what grade? What grade did that happen?
It would either been my grade 12 or my 5th year. I went to a 5th year in high school. I believe it was my 5th year. I did all my touring around Canada to different schools for recruiting trips.
So did you have to reach out to them or?
No, they reached out to me. I also played a lot of, like growing up throughout high school, I played a lot of different football. Like I played Waterford football, I played Bison's football, I played Team Ontario football. So my name was out there just from playing all around Ontario. I don't know if my name would have got out as easy if I just played at Waterford because the scouts weren't really coming around at that time. But when you're playing for Team Ontario, there's tons of scouts.
So Shane, you're an offensive lineman,
Yep.
and is that the position exclusively you've only ever played?
Oh, high school, I played both ways. You know, when you're
let's hand the ball off to Shane and see what happens. Did you ever get to some offensive snaps?
Yeah, I got to run the ball a couple times. We got this play in high school called the Fumblerooski where I would pick the ball up. So the center would snap it, the quarterback would touch it, but then he would back up, pretend like he has the ball, but then the center would still hold it. And the rules are since the quarterback touched it, the ball's live and it's considered a fumble.
Yep.
And so then I would pull and I'd come around the quarterback or the center, I'd be holding the ball still up in the snap position and I'd pick it up off his butt. And then I would run around and I scored a touchdown off that. I also scored a 70-yard touchdown it was the Pumpkin Bowl. We're playing against Dover. I still remember it was a fullback screen left. That's what we called the play. And our fullback was getting tackled, and he just looks at me as he's getting tackled. He's looking at me. I'm like, he's going to give me this ball. Next thing I know, he pitches a ball to me. I catch it, and I run 70 yards for a touchdown. I almost couldn't do
How many guys bounced off you in that 70-yard
run?
run?
They couldn't catch me. That was the funniest part. They couldn't catch me.
Sub 5. 40.
People don't realize. Yeah.
Get that adrenaline going, right?
I remember I being so tired I could barely do field goal after. It's like 70 yards. That's a long way for a 300-pound guy to run.
Amazing. So from my perspective, you made a bad choice to go to Western, but hey, man, it's all good. So Western University, like tell me about those years as far as like, part of your journey into professional football.
Well, I have quite the journey at Western. I met some of the best people I've ever met there. Some of my best friends I met at Western. So I'm really happy I did go to Western. I chose, there's 3 things in university that as a footballer, as a guy who's doing athletics, and really you can only balance 2 of them. There's your athletics, your social life, and your schooling. And it's really hard to do 3.
3, yeah.
And I focused on 2. I focused on football and my social life. And so actually at the end of my first year of at Western, I got a letter from the dean saying I had to withdraw from my program because I did not meet the standard to continue on. And that was it wasn't a shock. Like I knew that I wasn't doing that, but it was like, oh,
but still, it was
realization.
It was a
moment of realization. Like, oh man, you need to figure your crap out. And then so my second year I was withdrawn, and so then I did courses online from a university called Athabasca, and it's a online university out in Alberta somewhere. And I did really good on those. And I remember talking to my guidance counselor at Western at the time. She's like, you need this many credits. You need 3 credits. And I was like, perfect. And then I sent her a course load. I'm like, what do you suggest I take to be able to get back into school and play football? She's like, any 3 of these courses you take will be fine. Take 3 courses. I'm trying hard. I'm actually applying myself schooling because I want to play football. Get back in flying colors. Like I'm actually, I am smart if I work on it. And then I get back in, go to my guidance counselor. I'm like, I got back in. I have like a 90 average in these courses. And then she looks at the course load and she's like, oh no. And I'm like, what? She's like, these are half credits. She's like, I made a mistake. She's like, you should have took 6 courses, not 3. And so the CIS rule at the time was if you are using eligibility up, you need to have 3 full credits the year prior to be eligible to play your sport. I was eligible to get back into school, but I wasn't eligible to play my sport. So I was like, are you kidding me? And she's like, I'm not kidding. This is like, I'm sorry, but this is the way it is. So I'm like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. So my 3rd year, I went to Western.
Whoa. So you had 2 dead years.
Yeah, 2 dead years of football. And I remember coach wanted me to practice, and I'm like, no, I'm not practicing.
You just couldn't.
I'm like, I can practice out playing. I'm like, no, it's not me. That's just me at the time also in university. Okay. So I went 2 dead years without football. And then I was like, well, I have to pass my year at Western. Otherwise I won't be here next year. So then I did the schooling, passed, got into my 4th year, and played. So I started 9 games.
So their 4th year of school was your 2nd year of eligibility.
No, because my eligibility was getting eaten up the whole time.
Oh, it was.
So as soon as because I went my first year, eligibility starts.
Oh yeah, your eligibility is taken up by the fact that you're a full-time adult student, right? Okay,
So like my eligibility was ticking.
Wow.
So my 4th year was technically my 3rd year of school, but my 4th year eligibility. And
How many? You get 5 years?
You get 5 at the time. I still think you get 5, but at the time
Yep.
you get 5 years. So I started 9 games, and then I went to. I didn't even get invited to the main combine for the CFL. I got invited to it's called a regional camp, and it's like basically all the people who aren't, know, in the.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
There's some gold in there. We just got to find
we
it.
just got to find it, and I did it, and I got drafted late after that, and that was how it began then, I guess.
So in those summers, were you back home working for the family?
Yeah,
working
I
the
was
farm?
back home, and even when when I was withdrawn, I was at home working the whole time, doing the school online and stuff. My dad made me work extra hard then, and also do the schooling. Kind of smarted me up a little bit.
Yep.
But it was definitely a good learning experience. I'm glad I learned from my mistakes, because that's what I think life's about. Mistakes happen. Is how you learn and react from them is what makes the person.
Nice.
Yeah.
When did you meet your wife? Your now wife?
Grade 9. Remember?
Oh.
I still remember. I've been with her for almost 20 years now. We started dating in grade 9. I still remember it was grade 9 French class. She comes in, and I look at her. I'm like, "Who's that girl? I got to get to know her." And
From a different school then?
yeah, so I grew up in Teeterville. Went to Teeterville. She's always been a Waterford girl, so she went to W.F. Hewitt, then to Townsend. Never met her, and then grade 9 French class. I still remember. She walked in, and I'm like, I need to get to know this girl. And
It sounds like a football movie.
slowly,
Doesn't
slowly over. It's usually the quarterback who has the story, though, not the O lineman.
That's right. Who's that guy? Oh.
Yeah, he's an O lineman. Oh, we don't care. No, and then so we started dating that in grade 9, and it's never turned around since. It was tough with the long distance when I lived in Calgary, but we made it work, and now we have 2 beautiful children, and I would never have picked anybody else. I'm glad I picked her for sure.
Well said.
I'm glad she picked me.
I hope
more or
she's
less.
listening.
Yeah, she will be.
Fact checking.
I'll make her. Yeah.
That's amazing. So was she in London with you while you were there? Did
Yeah,
she also
went
go?
to not Athabasca. She went to what's the female called? Brescia.
Okay.
Brescia. So it's an affiliate of Western.
Brescia College. Is that
Brescia
what it is?
College. It's just an all women's
Okay.
school. But it's still like when she graduated, she had a Western degree.
Yep.
And then she did dietitian, little food science. So now she works in the hospital in Simcoe as a registered dietitian.
Wow.
Yeah.
So university finishes up. How close did you guys get to Vanier? Did you get to OUA finals? Like, how was your years there?
Yeah, my years when I was there, my first year, we got to the OUA finals, and we had our quarterback was Michael Falls, and he had a really bad bum knee, and I remember every game he was just getting ready to try to get this knee to make it through the game, and we lost to Queens in the OUA finals, and Queens went on to win the Vanier that year, and then I withdrew, so I wasn't on the team, and then I remember winning the guys won a couple OUA cups, the Yates Cup it's called, and then when I got back there, we got our butts kicked by McMaster, and McMaster went on. I think they might have won the Vanier Cup too. We got our butts kicked by them, and that wasn't even in the OUA finals. We got semifinals. They beat our butts, and then went on to win. So yeah, I've never been a part of any championship of any kind at Western, and Western has won a ton of championships, and I've never been a part of one.
Bad timing.
Bad timing. I guess if I would have stayed in school and been done my work, I would have won a couple Yates Cup at least. But oh well.
So
I'm happy with the trophies I did win.
Yeah. So I'm a big sports fan. How do you think through pursuing the CFL as far as like a career? And I recognize you're not going to be it's not like a 30-year career.
Right.
How am I going to retire with this job? No, but like, is it really just like you're like a big kid and this is like a dream, I could play football, and like you're not really thinking about the money, you're just like keep playing football. Like how do you process through that at that age?
You just kind of roll with the punches, I guess. But going to the pros, it was definitely an extension of your childhood, and like, well, not so much your childhood, your university days. Like you're hanging out with the boys. You're always doing football. You're on your own schedule when you're off of when you're out playing football or practicing football. You know what I mean?
Gym life.
Yeah, gym life. And other than that, you're hanging out at home with your friends and doing
Eating.
Yeah, eating food, doing guy stuff, recovering, and it's it was great. A coach once, or a person once said to me, it's just an extension of your childhood, and I said I agree with that to a point, but I said in my experience, it was an extension of my childhood, but also helped me grow into the man I am, because there was a lot of learning experiences from football, Some of the attitude I had as a kid, I explained earlier with the refs and stuff. Obviously, that stuff got checked by these professional coaches and all that stuff. And, you learn to grow as a person. And it was the greatest time of my life, those 8 years or 7 years I spent out in Calgary. It was great.
How do you deal with failure? Like, I'd imagine, like, at some point along the journey, you would have been always the best, meaning compared to the field.
Yeah.
So whether that's Teeterville grade 6 basketball, right?
Yeah.
And then at some point you hit the limit where it's like, okay, everyone else is now as good as me. It's comparable.
Yeah.
I've got to now rise above.
Yep.
What was that first moment like where you realized, oh man?
Wow. It was training camp my rookie year in the CFL. I still remember it like it was yesterday. Rookie camp went fine. So in the training camp, you have rookie camp first.
Rookies only.
Rookies only.
Other guys just
Learn
like
the
you.
playbook. Yeah, the other guys just like me.
Nervous.
Nervous.
Proven.
Rookies only.
Yeah.
You're never done it before. That went well. There I noticed I wasn't excelling really, but everyone was kind of the same. Then the veterans come in, and first day of veteran practice, we were doing some one-on-ones. And as an offensive lineman, one-on-ones is I'm going against a defensive lineman, and I'm going to stop him from hitting my quarterback. And the quarterback's a dummy at the time, is a pad. And I remember, I've never been bull rushed in my life. And bull rush as an offensive lineman is when someone takes you and physically moves you back into the quarterback and just pushes you backwards.
That's a bull rush.
That's called a bull rush. He uses his strength and his technique and pushes you back. And there's
right. So he's not trying to use the technique to get around you, to fake you.
He's going through me.
He's just saying, I'm going to go right through this guy.
Go right through you. And I've never been bull rush because I've always been way bigger. Like even in, obviously high school, never been bull rush. Even in my Western days, never been bull rush. And people have tried, and no one's been able to do it.
They try once, and then they realize,
I can't do that. And so I'm just thinking, like, the guy's gonna bull rush me. I'll just stop him because I'm huge. Now he picked me up and put me on my back. Like I was 350 pounds. He picked me up off my feet and put me on my back and sacked the quarterback. I still remember he came up to me, like tapped me. He's like, "Yo, welcome to CFL, bud." I was like, yeah, okay, this is a learning experience. Yeah, it was.
Was that literally like your first snap? Or was that okay?
That might have been my second one, but like it was my veteran camp. Like it might have been like, I don't know if it was my first snap, but it was. I don't remember any snaps because that was like the one that I remember. This guy embarrassed me. Like, coach is like, yeah, you better get better or you're getting cut if you keep that up, kind of thing.
Okay, so what is getting better look like? You're 350. You've been playing for years. You are. I mean, what does improvement look like at that point?
It's technique. It's all technique. People. To the blind eye, people who haven't had a lifetime of knowledge of offensive line think we're just smashing heads, but it's not.
No.
It's complete technique. Where your hands are, where your feet are, where your eyes are, and just understanding it and getting to a point where you're not thinking about it and you're just doing it. You know what I mean? And that just comes down to experience, playing and practicing. I got away with using bad technique at Western because people couldn't beat me because they weren't, in my opinion, the best football players. So I could use bad technique and I would never learn from it because I would still win. When you're using bad technique in the CFL and you're getting your butt kicked, you're getting exposed. It's like, well, I need to change something.
So how did you respond to that? Like if this is the sort of first sort of failure or that moment of realizing, okay, so what did you do there to get better?
Honestly, just go to my coach and like I would talk to my coach. And he obviously had some ideas for me to do, and it would just be like film work. I would talk to some of the veterans, offensive line at the time, and like what they do and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't for me a strength or weight room thing. It was just technique.
Wow.
And so that's where it came from. A lot of technique you learn from watching film of yourself. Film doesn't lie. Film knows when you're doing something wrong, and you have to fix it. It might be the 100th 200th time your coach tells you to do something, but like the one time you do it right, and for me, I felt it. I was like, oh, that was right. And the reason why I felt it is because I was so successful. Like it kind of clicked for me. It's like, I just got to do that every time. And then slowly learn through all the film work and all that stuff. And then you just learn and continue to do what you do.
Did you, the first time you ever got a paycheck for football, did you giggle?
It was pretty surreal. It's like, I'm actually getting paid for this now. I think I had to pay every year I ever played. And this year I'm actually getting a paycheck for it. Yeah, it was getting a paycheck to play a sport is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Man,
I'm jealous. Yeah. Like, so legit, how did that work? Like, does a guy come up to you and give you a check, or is it just like depositing your bank account? Like, how?
You have mailboxes and people put checks in. So after the game, you get paid for the game, and so the next day you come in and you watch film. In your mailbox there'd be an envelope with your check in it, And I still remember the one of my last year, I don't remember what year it was, but we were having a team meeting with some financial people. And they asked, do you want to go to electronic banking? And like just have the check, the money put in your account. And the people were like, the only thing, if you play on a Friday, you get your check Saturday, your money won't be deposited till a Monday. And I remember people were just in an uproar, like, no, we want our money now. So we always had checks in the CFL, and I don't think that's the way of the world anymore. Everything's electronic nowadays. Yeah.
How does it work? When you have guys on your team that get paid different amounts, right? Okay. What's like the dynamics of that? Like, do guys know? Do they flaunt it? I mean, did they chirp? Is it more of like, yo, man, we need to be together. We need to be in unity here. We don't want division. We want to, pretend that we're all the same.
Yeah,
is that a strange thing?
It is a strange thing. You know kind of who's getting paid more, especially when you're young and you're trying to earn.
Okay.
You're trying to earn that next level of money.
You kind of got to put in your time, right? Before.
Yeah. And
unless you're a quarterback.
Yeah, quarterback. Well, quarterbacks still put in their time, but they always made the most. There is that people know, but it is like we got to stay as one unit here. It's like but we get paid more. But that's business, man. That's just the way it works in sports. And people understand that. If you don't understand that, I think it would be found out really quick. From a locker room perspective and from people on the field, like the coaches would realize that really quick. And when you have that, it's the coach's decision to get rid of those people. So I never came across people who were, say, jealous or anything, because they know that's just what football is, right? If you want to get the big money in your position, you need to produce. So that's what it comes down to.
Are you looking back? You played how many years in the CFL?
I played from 2013 was my first year, and 2019 was my last year played. I was technically on the team in 2020, but COVID hit and there was no CFL season. So I was technically under contract that year, but 2019 was my last year played.
You satisfied?
Very.
Yeah?
Very satisfied. Never didn't want to change anything. Retired at the perfect time. Nothing I would, looking back on, I would change nothing would happen in my career.
Can you watch football today?
I can. I'm slowly learning to watch it. I never would watch it because it was my job. I watch so much football on film that I'm like, I don't really like watching it for fun anymore because
okay, right.
But now I actually am starting to watch it again for fun. I obviously watch the CFL, watch my boys. I can
the guys, right?
A lot of guys I still play with. All the coaches I coach me are still there. So I love watching those guys. But when it comes to watching other teams or NFL, it wasn't so big, but I'm learning to love it again. It's coming back to me. Yeah.
So how is returning to sort of like normal common man's life in the sense of like, you're home now, kids, farming, what are you doing?
Right now, I got a job in corrections at down in Hamilton at the Barton Street Jail there. So that is a different world that I've never thought. Yeah, I guess I never thought what could be. But now I know what the other side of the world is kind of like and all that. But I'm enjoying that job so far, and it's been good to me.
Now you and I have it in common, Shane. We've both done time. We both served sentences in jail.
Yep.
I was a teacher in Sprucedale Secondary School for a number of years, and Shane came through the metal detectors a time or two. So I coached the basketball team there. For the listener to understand, I coached the basketball team there, and I would invite several local schools in our area to bring their senior boys basketball teams in for some exhibition games or to get their butts whipped. And so I remember Paris District High School came in. I got Holy Trinity to come in, Waterford District High School to come in. I think there was another team, but Valley Heights, I think, came in as well. Cool. Poor kids. And Shane, you guys had a Quassa senior, like a Quassa level basketball team. Made it OFSA.
We made it to OFSA. I believe that year we made it to OFSA.
Yeah. And so you guys came in once and came in for a game. And what happened?
Well, we get in this game. I remember getting into Sprucedale and getting on this court, and I remember being the smallest court of mankind. And what happened was we got our butts absolutely kicked. Every player you had was faster, strong. Well, not stronger than me, but stronger than the majority of the players. And I don't remember the score, but it wasn't close.
Slight home court advantage. And
but it was fun.
What was it like going through the metal detector before a basketball game? A little intimidating?
It was intimidating. It was like, get in there. I remember them going in, making sure the door behind you was closed before the door in front of you is open. Like, yeah, stuff as a kid you never have dealt with before. And you're like, oh man, this is jail. Yeah,
and so
it's a little bit different.
You have a bit of a fond memory of the game that you came in and played. What happened?
I do. Well, we were playing the game, and I don't remember exact details of it, but I don't know if.
I could tell. Okay, let me take over.
Okay, take over.
You got a rebound.
Okay.
An offensive rebound.
Okay.
And you gathered the ball. Mm-hmm. You were right close under the basket.
Yeah.
And you put in a ball fake.
Yeah. Right. That's what I can remember those
and
details. Yeah.
This guy jumped like over your head. Yeah. Like this guy got so high in the air to block your shot. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, you're 6'8", so you're already up there in the air.
Yeah.
And your ball fake took him up to your shoulder.
Yeah.
And then you just waited, kind of watched him. He came down. And then take it from there. What happened?
So when he came down, he came over top of my body, and he came down. He landed on his arm, and I remember his arm looked like an L. Completely shattered his arm. And I remember me and all my friends on the team were just like, "Oh man, this guy's he's in jail. Like, you broke his arm. We gotta be careful."
Yeah.
It was. I'll still never forget that. Yeah.
I remember.
That was quite the day.
I remember that youth, and. A good kid. He was back in the class, had the broken arm for a while. He wasn't very happy about it, but I think he was impressed. Who was that guy? Yeah. I remember him asking me, Johnson, who was that guy? And that was good, man. It was awesome that you guys got to come in. Good Shane. I don't know you too well, but in getting to know you a little bit, I think that the job you now have, whether or not that's a long lasting or whatever, let me tell you, as someone who spent 6 years working in a custody environment, man, you're going to get some new tools to put in your shed.
Oh yeah, for sure. I learn something new every day, and expect to for a long time, or however long I stay there, expect to learn something new.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest things looking back, it was a hard environment to be in on a daily basis. It was hard to unload at the end of the day and disconnect from that environment, but really kind of learned how to interact with difficult people.
Yeah, you definitely learn how to interact with
difficult people. Is a gracious way of putting it, but
you learn how to take different approaches on how you look at a situation, because not always yelling and raising your voice is the best way to go, because that can get people hurt or something. So you're always looking at different avenues and different ways to fix something that could be wrong or to help somebody out. And you learn a lot every single day how to deal with people, just how to talk to people. Yeah, it's quite useful in your tool shed for sure.
Cool, man. Glad to have you back here in Norfolk County. You've lived in Calgary, lived there for a number of years while you were competing. By the way, congrats on winning 2 Grey Cups.
Thank you.
Shane, you've got your rings on here today.
Yep.
Which is like baller. So when is the last time you had those on? When you walked in my house, I was like, do you wear those everywhere? Because I could see them coming in before I saw you come, and I saw the rings.
No, I do not wear them. So I won my 2014 wedding ring my Grey Cup ring on my wedding day. I wore it that day. And I wore my 2014 Grey Cup ring when I received my 2018 Grey Cup ring at the ring ceremony. And I've done talks with schools and stuff. I've been invited to different schools and done talks in the gym to a whole school. And on those kind of situations, I bring them because the kids are very interested. So I bring them, wear them that. But otherwise, I never touch them. They're awesome. I love them. But come on, I don't need to bring these things around. They're huge. And, I'm going actually tonight to a football banquet at Assumption. I got invited to do a little talk with the team there, and I'm going to wear them to that. So that'll be fun. Get a free meal out of it, talk to the guys, and show my rings around.
Are you talking to the football team?
Yeah, it's a football team. It's a football banquet. Their coach invited me, and so it's just the football guys. Nice. And it'll be good. It'll be a good time.
Wonderful. Well, speaking of that, man, a good little segue into Norfolk County, and you're here now.
Yep.
So you chose to come home, I guess, if literally. Home after many years away and on the road, and just a bit of a transient life, moving here and there half a year. I'd imagine you're probably here and there. And are you planning to put down roots here in Norfolk for a long time?
Yeah. My wife and I built a house out here. Like I said, we lived on a farm. We grew up on a farm, and my wife and I severed some land off that farm. Built our house that we think right now is our forever home. and we live on some property. And I love being out in Norfolk County. I love the fact I can look out my back window and see, white-tailed deer. We have, I live close to Teeterville Legion, and there's actually a bald eagle that soars around, and seeing the bald eagle and like that kind of stuff. I love that stuff. The peacefulness, the quietness. It's like, that's what I dream. That's where I dream of, and that's what I have gotten. So that's where I've chosen to live the rest of my life for sure.
Thinking of the word contentment. So you had, exposure to like, just this unique lifestyle and football, like just doing what you love, being on the road, being with the boys, I'd imagine just that some of that culture that's there. And now you're living, I'd imagine, a much slower life. No, you're a young dad and all that stuff. So you got some high octane action, but you're living in Teeterville.
Yeah.
A bit slower.
Exactly.
How you doing with that? You content?
Very, very content. I can't imagine another place I'd want to live other than Norfolk County. It's my home. It always will be. Like I said, I love the fact I can go out at night. My kids go to bed on a nice warm summer day. I can go and have a drink on my back porch and enjoy the quiet, enjoy the wilderness, enjoy the animals. And, my wife loves it too. We can just hang out there, and I don't hear cars go by. I don't have neighbors that talk to me. I just enjoy the peace and quiet.
What do you plan to do here in Norfolk County? So, you grew up as a recipient of a lot. People who gave their time, their skills, their abilities. That's, volunteer coaches who didn't know anything about the sport they were doing. Yep. They just wanted to help out and love these kids. Into the actual sport of football and all the coaches and all that volunteer-based stuff. Where do you think you might fit? Whether you've started into that, as you maybe, when your kids get into that phase of life where they start playing, like, do you have plans to be involved either in the football community or just in Norfolk in general?
Yeah, I definitely do have plans. This past year, I coached Waterford. I was the offensive line coach at Waterford this past year. Unfortunately, we didn't do as well as we wanted to, but I'm already doing that, and that has been fun. I've coached basketball in the past at Waterford, helped out there. And I definitely want to coach football. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I have a lot of knowledge that I feel like these could be really useful to these kids, especially when it comes to them if they want to go to the next level. And I want to share. I don't need to keep it stored in my brain the whole time. I want to be able to share with these kids the proper technique from a young age, because that gives them the best opportunity. If they feel like moving ahead, they can.
Do you think, other than your size, which definitely helps you be an offensive lineman, what is it about you that you think allowed you to excel and succeed? Is there something different or unique? Is it just hard work, elbow grease? What is it, Shane?
I believe learning to live in the moment. That it's a hard kind of phenomenon to understand, but when you can learn to do that, you can become whatever you want. Michael Jordan talks about it in his documentary, about living in the moment, and it's just like learning your skill so well that you're not thinking about it, that you're just doing it. And when you're just doing it and reacting, you can be amazing and great at what you do. I remember watching film the next morning, being all tired and sore from the game before, watching film. So you're obviously not in the same state of mind watching the film that you were in while playing the game, and being like, wow, how did I make that block? Like, how did I think about it? And it just comes down to, you're just living in the moment. I didn't think, I just did it. And that's what I believe. If you can live in the moment and learn to do that, that's the difference in good and great. Yeah.
Now getting there, hard work and repetition, practice,
100%.
right?
Like, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
I had a trainer he lives in Otterville. His name's Steve Baggio. He trained me ever since high school, and he brought me onto this phenomenon, this living in the moment. He calls it warping time. You can actually slow time down in your own brain when you think about it. When you, just for example, like slowing down time, when you're losing a game, the game feels like it goes so quick. You don't have enough time to get these points back. When you're winning a game, it feels like time takes forever. The game never stops because you want to win. Just kind of like, that's this put in the easiest perspective. But then when it comes down to living in the moment, you can actually, in your own mind, you can actually predict what people are going to do, and you can actually do it ahead of time. And like Michael Jordan talks about it, a lot of the greats talk about it. So that's the phenomenon we talked about. And once you learn it, and then, like you said, thousands of hours of training and dedicating, but then having that foundation of like, oh, this is what we're working towards, it made it easier to accomplish for sure. Because if you work your butt off, but then didn't think that way, in my opinion, it'd be hard to realize what you're actually trying to do. That's just my opinion, though.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Shane, long-term health. Last year ago, right around a year ago, I had woke up with vertigo.
Oh.
First time in my life. Anyway, long story short, had a fall, had a concussion, and my first, I think, real concussion. I've had falls and hit the head before, but I was a month and a half. I wasn't myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was struggling with balance. Turning anything. There was like a lag in my vision, disorientation. I went to see a doctor in Simcoe, Steve Martineau, worked with him for 6 weeks, just trying to like retrain my brain. Yeah. I've never had an injury like that to my brain before. And that was one time.
Yeah.
Still to this day, my wife laughs at me, but when I empty the dishwasher is when I still get symptoms, because I'm like, spinning, rotating a little bit, and I still have this thing.
Right.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like I wouldn't have believed it until I now have it.
Yep.
I would have been like, most people like, oh, I got hit in the head, whatever, just get back, suck it up and get back, or whatever. Why aren't you normal again?
Right.
That's a real thing in football, in the sport that you've played, and head injuries, high impact, and all that stuff. You've had to endure some of that, and you've dealt with it. You've got a long life ahead of you now.
Yeah.
How's your health, and what's the plan moving forward?
Well, it's I've had my fair share of concussions. I've had I think 7 or 8 diagnosed professional concussions, and who knows what high school and all the other sports I've played and all that kind of stuff. I have dealt with some stuff in my brain that has been difficult to deal with. But I'm on the road to recovery. I'm slowly getting better all the time. I'm taking the necessary steps, trying to be, eat healthier, do some exercise, and do that kind of stuff. My trainer, Steve Baja, who I mentioned before, he does also like a physiotherapy type thing where he'll try to release muscles in your neck, because when you get your head slammed around, your muscles in your neck will tighten up, which can cause headaches and all that kind of stuff as well. So he tries to release your muscles, and he will help you with your concussion symptoms that way. And then I've also done some research, and I've been on for the past few months is like more medicinal mushrooms kind of thing. It's there's this mushroom out there called lion's mane, and it's actually proven in some studies that it regrows neurons in your brain. And so I've been taking that, and I've been taking some other mushrooms too, like reishi mushrooms and all that. And I found that my memory just alone has gotten better. Like I remember there was points in that I would be getting scared where I'd be in the shower and I would forget if I washed my hair, and my wife would ask me, can you go grab something from the freezer? And I'd walk to the back room, and I'd be like, why am I here? And stuff like that. And it was starting to get scary. I'm like, this is not good. This is not good at all. And I've been taking these mushrooms, and it's getting better all the time. And it also helps my mood. These mushrooms are good for mood, because I know I can get into some, with concussions, you get into some dark places, and you can be very moody, and it's just a constant work. It's always work, and being sure like you're in a state of mind that you're not trying to get to those really deep, dark holes in your brain. But I feel like the mushrooms and being healthy with your eating and being healthy with your exercise and all that kind of stuff, that's putting me on a road to recovery. And there's tons of statistics out there that football players, retiring and dying and getting their brains looked at by scientists and having the CTE, and don't remember what it stands for. And I didn't want to be a statistic, and so I'm really trying hard to not be one, and it's working.
You've benefited from some of this medicinal sort of mushroom, and you're thinking about maybe promoting it, selling it a little bit as well, producing it. Yeah,
so my brother's been interested in mushrooms his whole life, and he actually started a little business in Waterford where he grows gourmet exotic mushrooms, and right now we're currently starting to grow some medicinal mushrooms too, like the lion's mane I was talking about.
Gourmet meaning like for eating?
Yeah, for eating dishes? Gourmet, and they're more delicious mushrooms, I believe, than like ones you go get from the grocery store. They're meant for like more fine dining, but like
so I've never ventured into that, so I wouldn't know, but I would imagine there's different flavors of mushrooms.
It's delicious if you like mushrooms. People who say I don't like mushrooms, I'm like, well, you never tried the a good mushroom, because
Yeah.
there's some good really good mushrooms out there.
It's like, I don't like cheese. Well, what have you eaten?
Yeah, exactly. There's a whole bunch of different cheeses just like that. But yeah, so he started this business, and I, he's really interested in it and how it's been helping me and stuff. So I'm super interested in the mushrooms too. And
Cool.
hopefully one day down the road, he's starting to sell them now. And one day down the road, we can kind of take it to like my farm or my dad's farm, and we can make a business out of it is the goal.
Nice. Well, for the listener, keep an eye on the show notes for this episode. And as Shane has anything for me to share on how you can get more information on that, the link will be provided there. Look for Shane Bergman on Facebook. You can follow him along and follow his journey in life and follow his journey into, this venture into medicinal mushrooms as well. Shane, just wrap it up here. It's been a great conversation. I don't really know you well, other than I've loved, enjoyed playing basketball against it like that. It's like, look at this guy. How am I going to score? And yeah, man, it's fun. I'm glad you're able to come here on the show today. Without the pressure of having to mention everybody that you've ever met that you want to say thank you to. Who are some maybe just people on the way early in life, high school, university, pros, like that you would say, I just want to say thank you to for investing?
I can say thank you to a whole bunch of people. Obviously,
For sure.
my family, my dad and my mom for giving me the time to pursue football. Like I said, with the work, because like if it came down to it, he could have made me work.
Is your dad going to listen to this?
I'll show him the link. He'll probably listen to it. Obviously, my wife, because I was with her throughout my time in Calgary, and I'd be moved to Calgary for 6 months, and we would have a long-distance relationship, and she was completely fine with that. So I have to thank her for that. Steve Baggio, my trainer, since high school, and we developed that philosophy of living in the moment and warping time, and training and really believing in his philosophy, and I believe that helped me be the athlete I am. Teachers, there's this one teacher, Mrs. Vogelzang was her name. When I first wanted to get into university, I didn't have the marks to get into university. So I was going to do summer school, and I absolutely didn't study for my accounting exam at all. And I didn't do very well on it at all, because I just obviously didn't care at the time. And I realized, oh man, now I'm not going to get into university because I don't have these marks. And so I was going to do summer school. And then my accounting teacher, I don't know why, God bless her heart, she says well, you know what? She's like, I'm going to give you a second chance. She's like, you go take 2 weeks. And it was okay with the principal. We had a meeting with the principal, and she's like, I'll go take 2 weeks and study for the exam, and we'll rewrite it. And because it's cumulative exam, that will be I'll give you that, will be your mark in the class. I was super thankful. I went and studied my butt off for 2 weeks, and I came back on 98. And, so I got 98 in the class, and I laughed at her. So I'm like, so am I going to get the accounting award this year? She laughed. She was like, oh no, you're not. Because I had the highest mark in the class, but no one.
I don't want that email from that kid's parent.
Yeah, no one really knew how it went around. But I have to really thank her, because it wasn't for her, that she believed in me. You know what I mean? That was like, oh wow, you can do all this kind of stuff, and this woman still believes in me, and I really thank her for that, because it was amazing. And I can thank all my football coaches and everything I've ever had. Like you said, so many people I can name. Yeah. But yeah, those are the main people, I believe.
Awesome, man. Well, Shane, it's an honor to connect with you today. It's really cool that you've succeeded at that high level in professional sport. Every guy and woman who would have loved to have journeyed where you've gone, we've been able to enjoy an hour vicariously living through you, and much appreciated. Shane Bergman, you are unordinary.
Thank you.
What would your wife say?
She's like, I am unordinary, but it can be in bad ways.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for being on the show here today, Shane. All the best in your future ventures, and you're a good guy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure.
This episode of Norfolk Unordinary is brought to you by Coco Cabana Chocolate Fudge Gourmet Cafe. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, 16 Walker Street, Port Dover, Ontario.